Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it takes a lot to get here. We're happy to have you here. And why don't we dive into this a little bit? I know we're going to be discussing your contribution to the book's success, but first and foremost, I know I just read a little bit of a bio about you, but it'd be great for our listeners to kind of hear it from yourself. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your personal and maybe professional experiences that have kind of led you to where you are today and being on the show today?
Ah, great question. Very loaded, and I'm hoping you have time for, my response. I will try to render the adumbrated version. Uh, You probably know by now from my previous conversations and, of course, my interview that I'm originally from Jamaica. And so my first intimate exposure to medicine was actually through my mom. She died of lupus when I was 13, going 14, and my brothers were teenagers themselves. And so we were quite exposed to the realm of medicine, having to do with how the doctor patient relationship is important, not only in the treatment of the patient, but also the rallying and inspiration and instilling of hope in the family. And so my view of medicine was based on that exposure. With that, of course, losing your mom at such an age comes a lot of subsequent adversity. So just navigating through life itself, having no real support from a maternal figure, and really, I will just say that my brothers were my parental guardians, even though they themselves were quite young. What it has taught me, however, is that whatever you have experienced prior to adversity, it's actually prepared you. You don't know it at the time, but it is. And we focus on how much I have achieved. But one must realize that all the people that have been placed in your life, what I call despised and dispatched, including my brothers, they were being prepared too. So there are a lot of folks around you that are being prepared to actually uplift you and guide you to coalesce into this person that you become and that you're still becoming. And so that was I would call that the inception of my interest in medicine, so to speak, and my first enlightening experience of how one could actually experience such adversities and propel oneself to another level, and how it is done, what elements are necessary to get to that point. Of course, as you know, I'm a believer, so I believe that everything is ordained and orchestrated by God himself. But one has to be intentional about listening and to that guidance, and also allowing the people that have been placed in your life to guide you, because you could very well resist that, but you have to have the eyes, not the vision, not the optical vision, but the vision inside, to know that this is what has been placed before you and the persons inside your life that are there to help you to progress to the next level. And so it was a windy road thereafter. And I had an interview with Mark Grimm, a great interviewer, by the way. It was such a pleasure to be in his presence and just divulge all the personal information. However, the road to becoming where a physician and where I am today was not a straight line. It's not, it didn't follow the Y equals X plus C equation, right? It was more, curvilinear, not so much sigmoid, but it was certainly trajectory upwards nonetheless. And just the abbreviated, i.e. adumbrated version is that I was offered an opportunity a scholarship to enter a PhD program to synthesize anthraquinones, which are actually DNA anti-cancer agents,
Wow.
which in retrospect was quite serendipitous because I did not know that I was going to become an oncologist, right?
Right.
Again, this is, if this is not ordained, nothing else is, right?
Right.
And
Right.
so I have to be a believer for that reason. And that's where I actually met my husband. The very, 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 very first day I entered that program, he helped me to register. Again, divine dispatched and disguised. During my course of writing my dissertation, and probably a year before, I realized that in delving into the material, studying about anti-cancer agents, I reignited my interest in medicine. And so I discussed this with my husband, and he was in full support. He was the only person I told at the time. Afterwards, of course, I extended this reveal, so to speak, to my brothers, who are, you'll probably know just based on how much they have taken care of me. I am extremely close to them, and I love them dearly for what they were able to do for me as a child, and even now they contribute so much to my life. But my husband was quite supportive, and that helped because it seemed like a crazy idea at the time, because having a PhD, you're thinking you should then go on the path. You should stay on the path where the PhD leads, and a lot of advisors were also questioning my decision. And that is a lesson that I want to teach my audience as well, is that, and for that little girl, or for that, middle-aged individual who has this unction, this calling that they know it will not go away, and it's just a burning desire to pursue an interest that is unquestionably your calling. And to do that, you need only one person. I mean, you need yourself, obviously, to believe in that. But if you do have someone else who says, you know what, go ahead, because I see the passion within you, so I will support you. We don't know what tomorrow will bring. We wouldn't know. We didn't know we would be here. We would be here right now discussing this with you, Ryan. But that is that is the result of following the ordained path. And so, of course, as you know, the rest is history. I entered Cornell Medical School. By then, the good thing was, even though I was called a non-traditional student, right? Because I was older, having had a PhD at the time, I was older than most of my counterparts. But I knew what I wanted to do. I already knew. I wasn't trying to find my specialty.
Sure.
I knew I wanted to specialize in oncology. And then, of course, I was exposed to Memorial Sloan Kettering quite early on. In fact, Dr. Aki Yahalam and I published the Stanford 5 papers, a regimen which is used, the chemotherapy regimen, actually, with radiation that is used to treat Hodgkin's lymphoma. And Joachim Yahalam, otherwise known as Aki Yahalam, is a nester in the field of radiation oncology, and specializes in lymphoma. So I had the pleasure of doing that, and I think that helped. Going, obviously, attending Memorial Sloan Kettering lends some credibility, but certainly published none of. Aki Yahalam also catapulted me as well.
Wow.
So
yeah.
Hard question.
Well, that's the first one's always the hardest, right? No, so that's really a wonderful story in terms of surrounding yourselves with people that help lift you up, but then they help lift you up to the point where you're able to find what your life's mission and goal is. And you found that.